Hey guys, it's Dan Strong with Excel VBA. It's fun coming at you again with another quick tip. Today we have an issue, and this is one that I have had before, but I want to review it with you in case you have come against this. This is what I call a jacked up workbook. What I mean is, it's got errors in it. It says it's corrupt, and when I try to run certain macros, I get these bullcrap errors that even though the workbook compiled just fine without any errors, stuff is still messed up. Let me show you around. I'm going to go ahead and open up this Excel workbook, and I'm going to enable macros, enable content, all this. If I hit Alt F11 or Command Shift F11 on a Mac, I'm going to go ahead and go into the Visual Basic Editor. So let's take a look at this module here. This is just an example. This is just some basic code. Obviously, your workbook may have several modules, and you might have a lot of code. Where you can really see what's going on is in the Excel objects, the worksheets. Here's the problem. Okay, this doesn't look wrong on the surface unless you're really used to looking at the Visual Basic Editor, but there should be open parentheses and the sheet's code name in parentheses on all of these, and you only start seeing those around here. So you have a sheet with the code name begin, sheet 45, but then you also have begin. And here's another distinction, okay? You have all these duplicated sheets. You also, so if I click on a regular sheet, this is a regular sheet object. There's no code in here if I double click, but there's only like, I don't know, 15 maybe of these little properties in the property window down here. By the way, if you don't have property window, you can go to view and then click on properties window, or you can just hit the F4 key. But anyway, to see all these, this looks pretty normal. When I click on the other sheet that says begin, there's a gazillion properties, and these are weird things like auto update frequency and do not prompt for convert. This is weird stuff, okay? I've never seen these except for whenever something has been corrupted. Here's another thing that happens, okay? So if I go to my module here, I'm going to create a new sub. I'm just going to call this test, blah, 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 blah. Don't care what it's called. What I want to do, what I tried to do, is I wanted to do a for next loop to basically unhide all of the sheets, because there's like 50 extra sheets that are hidden right now. I just wanted to take a look at them. So I said, for each WS in this workbook dot sheets, and then of course I'm going to do my next WS, and then I hit up and I hit tab. And so each of those WS or the worksheet objects, I'm going to say WS.visible is true, right? We're going to make each of the worksheets to be visible equals true, okay? But if I hit F8 a few times, or Command Shift I if I'm on a Mac, or if I even hit F5 to just run it all the way through, right at this point, it's going to give you this stupid, silly error that says there's an automatic error, or there's an automation error, catastrophic. Earlier I got an error 429 or something, same crap here. Either way, it's saying that we can't figure out what this workbook is because maybe there's several objects, which it brings me to my next weird problem. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this macro, but look at this. Not only was each of the sheet objects duplicated and it got jacked up and real confused, but also the this workbook object has been duplicated. So now there's a this workbook 1 and a this workbook, okay? So that's not good. And by the way, if you right click on the extra one and try to go to remove, it doesn't let you. I guess you can do that with a sheet object, but you can't do that with this jacked up this workbook one. So a couple other things that you may have tried. I go to debug, compile VBA project. So let's see here. Okay, I actually deleted some modules. So I apologize. I was trying to condense this video. Now I'm making it longer by doing so. I had 5 different modules, and now some of the macros are gone. But I will just, on the honor system, you'll have to believe me, when I hit compile VBA project, it went gray, meaning that everything compiled just fine, everything was fine. There were no apparent errors. However, I still couldn't run the simplest macro to just unhide each of the worksheets. So I think it was confused because it doesn't know what the heck this workbook is, because there apparently are 2 this workbook objects in the project. So it's just all kinds of mixed up. The other thing I went to is tools references and just tried to see if anything was missing. Everything looked pretty standard, so I wasn't concerned about that. And finally, what I ended up doing, here's actually one other thing I tried is the clean project. So the VBA cleaner is a free add-in that you can use. So you go to clean project and you say, I want to use this workbook called Jacked Up Workbook Example, and we want to clean the project, do a backup, put it on the desktop, whatever. So great. So I'm going to run the cleaner. It's going to basically take all of the sheets, all of the forms, all of the modules, and export them, clean them, make sure there's no extra characters or extra tab keys or extra character returns, and all this, and then it re-imports them, basically, all of them. That's why this collapsed, because it's just been re-imported from scratch. Okay, so everything's been cleaned. Everything's squeaky clean and wonderful and all this, but you're still going to get errors. So that's not wonderful. Okay, here's the hard truth of this. What you're going to have to do, in my case, is I had to actually save it as a XLSX file. Right now it's an XLSM, which M stands for macro, so it's a macro-enabled workbook. You had to actually save it as a generic, boring Excel file. What that's going to do is it's going to take away all of your user forms, and it's going to take away your modules which contain code, and frankly it's going to take away any VBA code if you have any in any of your sheets. So double click. Hopefully you don't have a gazillion sheets, and hopefully you have saved lots of versions if you have an ongoing project, so you can revert to a version from half an hour ago before it got corrupted. That's the ideal scenario. If you only have one sheet, maybe easier to just copy all the sheet to another workbook. Alright, so I don't have a whole lot of code going on here. Maybe I would put some of this workbook stuff into a Word document or a text document. Anyway, you save your macros. You right click and you export all of the files that you need to your computer. You're gonna save all the code that you need. Right click, export this file, save them wherever you need to, and then we're gonna go ahead and do it. So we're gonna right click. File save as. We'll save this to the desktop so you can see it real easily. But I'm just going to change it to an Excel workbook that does not have macros in it. That's going to strip all the macros, but you're also going to see it's going to fix the weird problem with all the worksheets, which was leading to the problem. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to acknowledge that this is a macro free, so it's going to kill all my codes. I'm going to say yes, that's fine. Okay, and now probably I need to close it and reopen it. Okay. Yes, it still looks jacked up, but if I close it and now open the newly saved jacked up workbook.xlsx, the regular Excel workbook, and I'm going to hit Alt F11 or Command Shift F11 to open up the Visual Basic Editor. And now you see that all these are just gorgeous and beautiful and everything's fine. So that's a good thing. All right, so that is how we have preserved this. Now, of course, you're going to have to either create the modules like this and then paste your code back in here, like I just did from my clipboard, or you can go to File, Import File, and then one at a time you're going to import those 3 user forms and any code that you may have, any modules that you might want to import into this. But then your corrupted workbook is no longer corrupted, and let's prove that to ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and click on here, and I'm just going to give it a fake little title here, and I'm going to say for each WS in this workbook.sheets, next WS for good practice here, WS.visible equals true, and I'm going to hit F8, and I'm just going to start cycling through. So already it's acknowledged this is now one of the many WS objects, and the current WS object, the worksheet.visible, is now going to be true. As you can see, the begin sheet just became true, and all this. So it would go through the loop if I continue, but it would unhide all the sheets, and any other macros that I want to run presumably would be just fine now. So that is one quick tip on how to restore your corrupted workbook. I hope that helped you. Don't forget to click subscribe. Don't forget to click like if this helped you. And if you have any comments, please leave them below. We'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Again, thanks for watching. God bless.